Thanks for coming on the Crux Cast. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. Thank you for having me on, Eric. I appreciate the time.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. The first question is, given your surroundings that you're in, how is fatherhood treating you?
Do you know what? It's amazing. I mean, it's got me looking like this, which is interesting. So, yeah, I mean, with the lack of sleep and all of that comes with it. That's just a byproduct. But the just seeing them sort of say their first words, going through all that personal growth, you've just seen it on a day-to-day basis. And I'm so thankful, Eric, because I've been able to spend every single day with my daughter since she's been born,
Wow.
and that's a real blessing. So that was one of the reasons why we looked at an online model, which I'll come on to shortly.
Yeah, very good. And we're going to, that's the reason we're here, is to talk about that clearly. But one of the things that me and our listeners are really intrigued in is a story, right? A story about personal development and people who maybe are going along a certain path and head off in another direction for whatever reason that is. Now, in my my cyber stalking of you, which I tend to do with guests that are coming on, I was really intrigued by your sort of beginnings in life. I mean, you, before we get on to what you do now, which we'll explore, you started out in IT, right?
Correct, yeah. So I sort of fell into IT. A bit of a funny story, actually. So I met. I'm basically a council boy. I grew up on a council
Yep.
estate. Worked hard to get the GCSEs that I got. Didn't do massively successful, and jumped straight into a modern apprentice. Now, at the time, I was shooting high, and I was with this girl whose father was very, he ran his own business, and he was just like, the first question he asked me, Eric, was, what do you want to do when you grow older? And I was 15 at the time, and I not really thought about that question, but I knew IT was the up and coming thing. So I went, I want to be in IT. And he was like, okay, cool. So that was it. I'd already set out my career path before I'd even decided in my own head, because it sounded good and I knew that it had a good salary attached to it. So I jumped in. I found a modern apprentice as an IT first line support, doing a bit of admin, brewing up for the boss and all of that that comes with it. But they seen potential in me, and they really invested a lot of time and energy to help me accelerate my career. And I sort of worked my way through up to senior level management in that 16-year period, just like one level below director. And I always thought, when I was going through that path, I always shoot for the top. So I was like, CIO is where I'm heading. That's the pinnacle point of an IT career. And it was actually sitting down with one of my managers, and she knew me to a T, and she said, like, what do you want to do next? I said, well, as long as it takes me towards CIO, it doesn't really matter. I just need to master the skills that come with that. And she said to me, I'll tell you straight, you're not designed to be a CIO. You're designed to be an entrepreneur. And I can see it every day in your work. It's like, this environment's frustrating you. So that was a real, like, for a manager to sort of say that to me was a real eye opener. I'll never forget her for that, because it really did make me think, actually, am I aligned to what I should be doing right now?
And that's quite incredible. From my own journey in my professional life, sometimes it takes someone just to tap you on the shoulder and go, do you know what? You should maybe think about being something else. And as much as you're on a path, it sometimes just makes you lift your head up a little, like a little meerkat, and go, yeah, maybe, absolutely. So from what I've researched about you, you carry on, you get into, from some of my friends who are into IT, I know that infrastructure thing that you were into, that's going pretty deep, right? That's pretty deep into IT. That's not just skimming the surface. So I'm just interested in the leap that you made, because it seems in sort of 2016, there was something happening in your mind about what you were going to do with your life. And then in October 16, you do something fairly radical, right?
Yeah, and I don't advise anyone to do this, Eric. So if you are listening, don't make this bold move. It's not advisable. So look, just to give you a bit of context, like, I always believe that whenever you make a change, generally it's driven from pain or a higher desire to achieve more. And really, to give you a bit of backstory, growing up through my youth, my mum and dad divorced at the age of 13. When my mum took it really badly, and she turned to alcohol and food abuse as a way to to get herself into a better place, if you like. So, you know, but during that self-destruction mode that I witnessed in front of my eyes, I see my mum go from like a size 12 to a size 26.
Right.
And not only that, you know, I believe she's bipolar today. So, you know, again, like that, I've seen that. I believe that alcohol has caused damage to her brain and in the way that she, you know, her emotions are affected. So, you know, when I was witnessing that, you either follow suit or you go the other way, right? And I just decided at that moment in time, I was going to delve deep into understanding about nutrition. I got into, I started training, started doing bodybuilding, but like not really knowing I was doing bodybuilding, I was just lifting weights. And that was my release. That was like my, you know, and I went completely obsessed down that route.
What age? What kind of age? What kind of age then?
14, that was 14 years of age.
14.
So I literally joined the gym, learned all about protein and everything that comes with nutrition. And, you know, through trial and error, I got my body into a really good place. And I was just like, I was obsessed like with that. And through that process, it actually, you know, I learned so much, but then I realized that there was also a lot of lack of understanding within the world around nutrition and, you know, the clever marketing campaigns that come with it. And from that moment in time, like I really wanted to be in that field, but I realized that in order for me to transition away from IT and the good salary that I was on to move into the world of PT and just wasn't feasible, or even, you know, writing nutrition plans wasn't feasible. So again, I stayed on my course, but I always had this passion for just helping people transform their health and well-being through that pain that I seen with my mom.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. So you take the step, you're doing what you're doing, and you decide you're going to do it, but you break out of IT and decide, right, engineering humans and helping human beings is what I'm going to do for a living, right? Was that something you were kind of building up to, or was it a fairly quick decision? I know you're building up on the nutrition side, but to do it as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, you know, that for me, it's like, I believe the stars aligned, and the stars definitely aligned in 2014. So my wife, she actually said to me, look, Mark, you're pretty obsessed by this, and I don't think anyone can take that away from you. So why don't you compete, right? And I was like, this conversation happened much later, like 29 years of age. She said, why don't you compete? I'm 38 now, so I'm kicking on a little bit. But I said to her, I said, look, you know, and it comes to that fear of like, I don't really want to stand on stage, you know, in front of everyone in tight shorts or, you know, and fall flat on my face. And so she's like, look, you've got nothing to lose, just do it. And at least you've got something to shoot towards. So in my first competition, that actually happened. I fell flat on my face. I didn't place, right? I looked great, but I got a lot wrong. I didn't tan, I didn't shave, I didn't do any of the things that a bodybuilder would do. But what I did is I disciplined myself in the respect that getting in, you know, that shape. So I learned a lot through the process, and I made tweaks going into the next competition and the next competition. And it was actually in May 2014 where I was fortunate enough to place third in the World Fitness Champions. And that's a physique category. I was up against about 260 people across the whole of Europe, some from other side of the world. And it was in the Body Power Expo, and it was about 70,000 people in this expo. So I had a big audience as well that I was competing in front of. And from that moment, I mean, Facebook was quite, you know, there wasn't a lot of people like putting out a lot of content on Facebook. But from that moment, I got found on Facebook, and people were asking me the same question, Eric, and that's, how did you do what you did? And so I decided in that moment, bearing in mind, I wasn't thinking it, you know, alongside a business at this point. I was just thinking, how can I help more people without answering the same questions? So I put together a program called the Muscle Shred Extreme. And that was a combination of training and exercise and nutrition, and it was incorporating all the principles that I applied during that 12-week shred, right? So I gave that to everyone for free. And then what I realized through that process was that people struggle to do the meal prep and carry around Tupperware boxes and all of that. Yep. So then further down the line, there was a guy who reached out to me from the US who was a bodybuilder, and he said, look, Mark, he said, I've been following you for a while, and there's this company that's coming to the UK, and I really think you'd be perfect for launching it into the UK market. So I said to him, I said, look, I'm all about whole food, so I need to try this myself. So I flew out to the US that was in October 2016. I picked up a system. I did it for 30 days. And the results that I seen and felt through that process was phenomenal. I mean, like, I was just like, wow. And it was simple as well, Eric. That's the most important bit. So it tasted good. It was simple. And I knew that everybody could do it. And that was really the aha moment where my wife and I was like, we can launch a business. Now, also the backstory is at the time, I was an IT manager looking after all this infrastructure, working crazy hours a day. I lived in a hotel Monday to Friday down in Bournemouth. I'm from Manchester, so it wasn't ideal for my relationship.
No.
Just got married. We were talking about starting a family, and I was just like, I'm not going to be the dad that's away from home all the time. I want to be, I want to see those first steps and hear those first words. That's my vision. So we knew we needed a business that allowed us to work from anywhere, and that was the stars coming together to align to where we are today. So we decided, and this is what I say, don't do this. I quit my career. I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I've found what I've been looking for all this time, and I feel passionate about making it happen. We were supposed to launch the UK market in March, but because of food regulations, there was an ingredient that got kicked back. So that meant we launched in May 2017. I ran out of money. So what I did, Eric, through the process was I had a Lotus Evora sat on my drive, sold that for 27K. So that gave me enough cash flow to get through that period. I downsized on every single aspect of my life just to survive during that 7 months. And then we launched, and we launched really well. We launched with momentum because we had to pay the bills and get back into normality. So, that drove me to really take this thing serious. We went on to become UK founders of that company. We've now transferred our partnership elsewhere, but we've still created the brand of MotivateME as to what it is today. And we offer a ton more value than we've had before. We've helped hundreds of thousands of people globally through our team. And I feel blessed telling like that story more than anything, that I know that I've made an impact to people who may have been struggling in the past to make a lifestyle change.
So in the moments when you were selling the car and you were scraping together all the funds that you could to keep this going, did you ever think, or did you ever reach out and get any funding or backing? Did you completely bootstrap all of this yourselves?
Yeah, completely. Look, I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of emotions in this household. I actually questioned, have I done the right thing? And I definitely stepped away too soon, because I had enough money to survive until March. But once that got kicked back, then I was just like, well, what am I going to do now? So yeah, fortunately enough, we have enough equity in our houses and the luxuries that were just sat there doing nothing. But it was the bitter pill of almost like, going from what people would perceive as success, having the nice luxury cars, having the luxury holidays, wearing designer clothes, to actually going, do you know what? All that stuff doesn't really matter. What matters is actually it's building something that I feel passionate about, which equals happiness, and in return, actually doing what means the most to me, which is being a full-time father. And that's it. So it did take a lot of like, I know I'm driving a Ford Focus and I used to drive a Lotus.
Who cares?
But that doesn't matter to me because it's irrelevant, right?
I know.
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's a really, on a completely different plane, it's a journey that my wife and I have gone through in the last few years. We were caught in a hamster wheel of, it's got to be bigger and shinier and faster and glitzier. And a couple of years ago, I don't know what the catalyst for this was, but we both looked at each other and said, this stuff is meaningless. And actually, it means nothing to us. It's about our family. It's about doing something that makes us feel good and that we're doing something good for people. And we've completely reset, got rid of the house, got rid of all the cars and all of that sort of stuff. We've gone back to real basics. And life, I have to say, is less stressful, more pleasant, and more based around the values that you've got as a human and a family, right? You know, fancy
Absolutely.
cars and Lotuses are nice. Don't get me wrong, Evoras are beautiful, but who cares what you're driving about? And it's about what you're doing, right? Um,
Exactly.
so you, while you, I love the story about you went from that moment where you picked up the system or organised getting the system to the UK. You actually took that and you exploded that, didn't you? I mean, you won awards for your kind of marketing of it and the sales and all of that. It was a pretty successful relationship between you and the US distributor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, for us, and I have to be honest, like when I first got introduced to network marketing, the model, I was massively skeptical. In fact, this is how it happened. Is my wife told me about the profession and how we could leverage, you know, a residual aspect for any reorders that took place on product. And I said to her, you know, why would I want to do all the work for somebody to get paid all the money at the top, right? That's quote unquote what I said. And she turned around to me in a heartbeat and said, what, like your job? And I just went, you're right, right? I'm reporting into the CEO and all
Yeah.
that. So like once that got stripped away, and then once I educate myself on actually how the profession works, that, you know, you're rewarded for time, work ethic, skill, and desire. And if those are in alignment to, you know, what you're driving towards, and you're in the right vehicle, then success is inevitable. It's just a case of, you know, unfortunately, a lot of people come in and they give it a go, whereas we didn't have that luxury. We were like, this has to work for us, and we'll make this a success regardless. And we actually went on to become top income earners throughout Europe. We enrolled the most amount of customers in the 3 years we did it. Personally, ourselves introduced over 1,000 people, and you know, that was phenomenal. What I didn't really like about it at the time, and this is one of the reasons why we switched models, is because, you know, I wanted something that was more customer centric, i.e., you know, it doesn't reward me in my current business to transition someone from a customer to wanting to build a business. It actually takes money out of my pocket by doing that, right? So I love that now that we are aligned to something that I can just purely focus on building a massive customer base, helping serve people across the world, and be able to do it through holistic nutrition. So teaching them the right principles, Eric. You know, when they leave MotivateME, this is what our strapline is. It's not how fast we get you there, it's how long we keep you there. That determines success. And what that means is it's not a diet with an end date. It's about you understanding the right principles and having the right education to be able to maintain a healthy lifestyle change with balance.
Yeah.
Really important, because, you know, life's going to happen. You know, no
Yeah.
one anticipated COVID-19, but it's going to change the way that we think about, you know, our health as well.
So that's fundamentally what Motivate Me 2.0 is really about, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all whole food nutrition. We have paired it with things that I've used personally myself within, you know, from a fat loss perspective as well as a health perspective. So the main component from a health perspective within our system is collagen, and that's all to do with the connective tissue, your joint health. It's the most abundant source of protein. It's to do with your skin, your hair, your nails. So when we go beyond the age of 25, our collagen levels drop about 1.5% a year, which is why our skin sags, you know, and
Yep.
all of that, you know, your joints that start to ache as you get older. So you can certainly protect that to a degree. You can't stop it, but you can significantly reduce it. So we've incorporated that in things like CLA and L-carnitine and green tea. That used to be my combinational stack when I was getting ready for that final cut phase in a competition. They're all natural sources, amino acids, and you know, products that our bodies either create or we can supplement with. And then you've also got in around that the principles of how to eat the right foods and to make it fun. Like, the most important thing is making it family friendly as well. So we put the body in a controlled calorie deficit. And we make sure that we're tackling fat loss, not weight loss, and we make sure that we're maintaining lean muscle mass through the process, or even building it if we are pairing it with that resistance style training. So really, it's just giving people the principles and ensuring that they're doing it the right way. And there's no race to the finishing line. It's just about helping them create long-term success.
Very good, very good. One of the things I noticed about your posts on LinkedIn is, and it struck me the other day, many people on LinkedIn have got a market. It might be extremely niche, or it might be slightly wider. When you post something on LinkedIn, it's about every single human, isn't it? I mean, the human beings are your marketplace, regardless of where they work, what their specialism is, whether they're a professor or work in a supermarket. It doesn't really matter. It's about human well-being, right? So that's why I noticed when you post something, the amount of comments and yeses and likes and stuff like that, it's because it's naturally attracting, right? Because you don't have to be an engineer, you don't have to be a lawyer or an accountant to be tuned into this stuff that you're posting. It's really sort of engaging stuff, right? And you've taken that to an extreme level, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when I post, I'm thinking in three areas, and it's healthy body and mind. Okay. So mind being habits and mindset, really important to help you create long-term success. So I'll give you one example. If you're the type of person that goes home, sits in front of the TV, turns on the remote and opens a beer, that's a habit, a pattern recognition, and you can disrupt it by simply removing one of the items. So for example, if you took the TV out of your living room and put a guitar there, that guitar, if you like guitars, if you like playing an instrument, put an instrument there, then automatically you've disrupted that pattern. So again, pattern recognition is really important in creating habits. Here's how I do it. So when I have a conversation with someone, Eric, I say to me, tell me, when was the last time you were at your ideal weight? And they give me a number. That might be 3 years, 5 years. It might have been never. They might, but I say to them, I say, look, is there one thing in your wardrobe that you want to get back into right now? And they're like, yeah. Or is there one thing that you want to wear next? And I say, look, do me a favor, take it out of the wardrobe, put it on a hanger and position it somewhere where you see every single day. And what that's going to do, Eric, in that moment in time, when you look at that item, you're going to remember this conversation. Now, remember this question that I'm asking you. Why now? And they tell me why now. And when you go from emotion, from logic to emotion, that's when you make a shift. Because the why now is, well, I want to be a dad that has more energy, that, can keep up with my kids. I want to be in better shape so that I feel more sexy, so that I can, have my body confidence to make love to my partner. It's a whole host of different emotions. And we need to start there, because that is the trigger. Once you find the trigger and you've got something that reminds you of that conversation, you're on the right path. The second piece is the body. So we need to move the body. Now, again, the thing that a lot of people do is they join a gym come January. And then, as time progresses, they're like, oh, well, I don't really enjoy the gym. So then they have this gym membership that they feel good about having, but they don't use it. And so what I say to people is, look, do something you love, not something you feel that is the done thing. So i.e. if you've, and it might require some testing and tasting, right? So if you've never played tennis, try it. If you've never, gone on a mountain bike ride before, try it and taste all these different things. If you're wanting to work better as a family and lead a healthy lifestyle as a family, try badminton between you, try these different things, swimming. And then when you find the thing, then exercise becomes fun rather than a chore. And that's really important. So that's the body bit. And that's why I share so many different exercise techniques around how people can operate and stay active. Then the health bit. Health all comes down to nutrition. Putting the right fuel in your bodies is going to show up in the way that your energy levels show up. It's also really important for things like to make sure you're getting enough sleep, to make sure you're managing stress, which these are fundamental parts of any healthy lifestyle. And also to make sure that you're, creating the right nutrition to support your goals. Because here's what I've learned through my 16-year corporate career. I've seen people who have really focused on going higher, and they focus that much on the career, the health's taken a knock because the lack of time that they've got. They grab things on the go in a way that their energy levels are shot. They're buying energy drinks and coffees just to keep them going. And it's just a vicious cycle. So we focus on the nutrition, which will elevate your energy levels, which will serve you better in all aspects of your life. And if you get them three things right in balance, we have won the lifestyle game.
I think that's a fantastic high point to end this on. I think that's absolutely superb. I don't know how that can't resonate with everyone, right? Mark, how can people get a hold of you and find out all about this, what you're doing, and the sort of read the testimonials and see your work? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best ways on LinkedIn, all of my my business is done on there, and because we have a customer support group on there, and as well, people, if they type in Motivate Me free daily tips, they can get access to that group for free. There's loads of tons of value that we pour into there every single day. But yeah, if they find Mark, if you just search Mark Bryce on LinkedIn, they'll find me. And again, you know, because I have to work out really what their goals are, and you know, you can drop me a DM and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking to achieve, and then I'll point them in the right direction. It might not even be something that we do in terms of, like, for example, you know, it might be something that they're looking to achieve some habit changes, and I can give them some pointers on how to make those habit changes. So if there's any aspect of your health that's out of balance, really, that's the best way to come in, and I'll advise best, you know, without trying to sell to people, because
Yeah, I
look, I
understand.
want to make sure that they can make that change. So yeah, Mark Bryce on LinkedIn.
Listen, you without a doubt motivate me, and you motivate hundreds of thousands of people. It's been a pleasure to have you on. I wish you all the best with Motivate Me 2.0 and with the family and everything else. And thanks for coming on.
I really appreciate it, Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. See you later. Bye-bye.